Okay, yeah, time to get my next special guest on my show now. I'm very pleased to be joined by a female singer and songwriter. I have with me Sarah Riches. Sarah Riches joining me on a Zoom call, and looking forward to interviewing you today. Heard so much about you.
Oh, thanks so much, Dan. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to talking to you.
Yeah, no worries. So first off, how's life treating you, and where are you in the country at the moment?
Oh, wow. I've had a really sunny day here in Cannock in Staffordshire. So, for those listeners who don't know where Cannock is, it's somewhere between Birmingham and Stoke-on-Trent,
Oh,
halfway up the M6.
yeah, yeah. So I have heard of it. Like the South Staffordshire Midlands.
That's right, yeah.
Right. And do you do many gigs around your local area at the moment?
I'm trying to do more actually. I do like gigging locally, but I do tend to be generally around the sort of West Midlands area and Staffordshire area.
I've read it's some good venues to perform at, isn't it? So well supported the live music scene here in the Midlands.
It is, yeah, and the country music scene here is good as well. So we have something that's really special at Symphony Hall, which is organised by a local band called Gasoline and Matches, and yeah, it's called Nashville Sounds in the Round. It's at Birmingham Symphony Hall, and it happens around every month or so. So if anybody is into country music, I would really highly recommend that going into Birmingham and going having a look at that.
That's amazing because people are always wondering what they can do when they visit the city
Mm.
of Birmingham, and that's great. When's that held? Like what day of the week and in the month as well?
It's usually around about once a month or once every 2 months, and it's either on a Thursday evening or it's on a Saturday morning. So if you fancied a weekend in Birmingham, that you could come and see the Saturday morning show at Nashville Sounds in the Round, and then you've got the whole weekend then to go and do other things as well. So
Right. Yeah, so Nashville sounds in the round. Maybe if they just Google it and then they can keep up to date. So when the next event is.
definitely, yeah, it's held at Birmingham Symphony Hall.
Lovely. And when did you first come into like music, writing, recording it? And
Oh.
would it be fair to say like, music was always a path or the route you always wanted to make or take?
It definitely was. I think my mum said that I drove her mad as a baby because as soon as I could talk, really, I was singing. And most babies keep their parents awake by crying, and I didn't do that because I was too busy singing. So they they were just so tired of me singing Bar Bar Black Sheep and Nelly the Elephant, I think it was I was singing. So I've always sung. I've not always written though, so I came into that a bit later in life, but I would still say I've been doing it for about 25 years. So
Well, that's good going. And then growing up
yeah.
with music, did you manage to, learn a musical instrument? Of course, like, I suppose back in the days in the school curriculum, mu learning an instrument was advisable.
It was. I mean, in my day, it was the recorder. You had to learn the recorder when you were little, and then if you were good enough, you could move on to other instruments. So I moved on to play keyboards. So I used to play the keyboard when I was younger, and but I wouldn't say I'm any good at it now. So,
So,
in fact, I've got a fantastic band who play for
yeah.
me, and they're a seven-piece band, and they really do sound amazing when we're all together. But we don't get a chance to be together all that much because obviously, venues find it difficult to be able to pay a seven-piece band.
Hard times
But
now,
when
isn't it?
I know, but when we are all together, it sounds, if anybody ever listens to my tracks, it sounds exactly like the tracks when we're all together. So,
Oh, that's good. So you just concentrate on like writing the lyrics and then like stick with the singing in hand.
yeah, so I do have the ability to write the melody as well, and I go to my producer. So I write the lyrics, I write the melody and the structure of the song, take it to my producer, and then he does the clever things of working out what the chord structure should be underneath, and then we have a good old backwards and forwards collaboration about what exactly the track should sound
Yeah.
like. So. I've
Oh,
got a
that's good.
fantastic team around me.
How do you find the songwriting process? Like the where you write the song, from the blank canvas of a piece of paper to getting your
Yeah.
inspiration from.
What normally happens is something's either happened to me, um, which has driven me to write, or something has happened to somebody close to me, or it's an observation of, what's the world coming to, sort of thing.
Mm.
So there's normally some kind of trigger, and it's been something that's been bothering me for a while, usually, and I've been mulling it over. And then eventually that seems to turn itself into song lyrics and an overall song in the end.
Yeah.
So it's really it's straight from the heart, really, and straight from my sort of conscious thought where I'm analysing the world or a situation.
Ah. So maybe a few personal experiences, storytelling, and what's happening in the climate of the world at the moment.
Absolutely right. And
Right.
and country music is all about that. It's all about telling a story. And I wasn't always country. I kind of came into country a little bit later, during COVID, actually. And I got signed. Everybody was singing online to try and keep people happy and busy and things during COVID.
Mm.
And I got spotted by a manager, and he said, "Do you realise that actually all the songs that you're writing are actually country songs? It's just that you're producing them more in a poppy way." And I thought, it was a light bulb moment for me because I thought, I wondered why this wasn't quite working for me when I was producing it in a poppy way. And the minute that I started turning my songs down the country production route, um, everything just fell into place, really. And my management actually arranged for me to go over to Nashville and work with a guy called Fred Mollin, and he produced my album in country. So, and it was amazing. I was very very lucky to go. Obviously, that was after COVID
Oh,
had
yeah.
had gone
That's
away, or but yeah, he has worked with the likes of J.D. Souther, who did the
good.
writing for the Eagles, and he's recently been working with Joe Cocker. He's worked with oh God, Chris Christopherson, who sadly we've just
Yeah.
lost, along with J.D. Souther. He's worked with Lyle Lovett, Vince Gill, all the sort of very big sort of names in music and particularly in the country scene. So I was incredibly lucky
Yeah.
to go and work with him.
That's so cool. And one of my next questions I was going to ask you is how would you kind of like describe your sounds and the music like you create? You mentioned like, you started off like country pop. Would you say it has a kind of classic country element to it, a bit of a rocky sound, bit of an edgy sound, or still keeping that little bit pop in there, maybe?
Well, it depends on the track, to be
Mm.
honest with you. Some of my tracks are more sort of bluesy. Some of them are more Americana. Some go down the more sort of southern country, rocky kind of route. And some are just classic country. So it really depends on the track and the subject of the track, I suppose. The subject of the song kind of makes it then the direction that it goes, if you see what I
Yeah.
mean. But
Oh,
it's
so
really it's
yeah, a
really
few,
nice because
yeah, a bit of versatility there.
yeah, and the country scene it does embrace a really wide range of sounds within the country genre. It's acceptable for people to have sort of a folky sound or a rocky sound or a poppy sound or a bluesy sound
Mm.
within the realm of country. Um, it's not everybody's cup of tea. Obviously, particular subgenres of the country sound are more people's cup of tea than others.
Yeah,
And I think, well, I hope with what I do, I kind of manage to meet everybody's needs really and make somebody's ears happy at
that's
least
good.
one of my tracks. So,
I wanted to talk about some of your tracks we can touch on now. One of your latest
yeah.
singles, I believe, is "We Need to Talk."
Yeah.
Can you tell me just a little bit more about this record?
Yeah, so that's my latest song. I made a bit of a mistake, to be honest with you, Dan, because I didn't release it until December, which is a really bad time to release any song, with it being so close to Christmas. But I'd worked on it during the year, and I was desperate to get it out before the end of the year went. But yeah, it's called We Need to Talk, and it's about that stage in a relationship where maybe you haven't even called it a relationship yet, and you've got a bit besotted with a person, and you've got all these feelings, and you're not sure if they feel the same, and you kind of need to have that conversation and say, is this a thing, or are we just seeing each other in a casual sort of way? And it's a really hard conversation if you are the one that's sort of fallen for the other person. So it's about that.
Yeah. Oh well, that's quite a crucial stage, isn't it? In when you start having like feelings for someone and you want to take it further.
Yeah.
And I guess a lot of listeners can relate to that because there's an old phrase, we've all been there, haven't we? Most of us.
Yeah. And there's a line in it, maybe this could all go wrong, but maybe it could all go right. So you just don't know. You're on that little knife edge, and you're like, oh, please let this be what I'm hoping it will be. But equally, if it's not, that's still okay. At least you've been honest with each
Hmm.
other. So
That's what it's about, isn't it?
yeah.
Integrity. And your next track I wanted to speak about, I think this was another recent release of yours called Finally Free. How would you describe this number?
I think that's the other end of the spectrum, I think that's when perhaps you've come out of a relationship and you realize you've not necessarily been treated that well. And then again you think, but actually that's okay because I'm free now and I've learnt now and I'm all right about this. And you've took the lesson and you've grown from it, and you may pop out happier in the end
Hmm.
anyway. So it's about that. And funnily enough, I released that in July last year. And I always thought with that one, oh, I wish I'd done a video for that. And so I have now. And I've literally just before I came on this interview, I just released it into the world on my social platforms. So people are, I'm hoping, currently watching it and listening to it right
Yeah,
now. So
that's so cool. Yeah, one of my
yeah.
questions was going to ask if you did an accompaniment, like music video to one of your songs.
Yeah, so Finally Free is the one I've just released, even though I released the actual track back in July. And We Need to Talk has got a video as well, where I'm looking a little bit sad and miserable in a barn. And I'd been rained on a few times that
Yeah.
day as well. So
Uh,
I'm looking
do you,
especially miserable.
do you like to film like in your local area as well?
Those two videos were done in Shropshire actually by a fantastic company called Street Star Studios UK, and they do all sorts of things for independent artists and for tribute artists as well.
Yeah.
Um, but I always find videos really difficult because I forget about the fact that it's me that's got to be in them. And then when it comes to it, I'm thinking, oh no, I don't really want to be in this video. Can't I have some actor pretend to be me in this video? Or better still, some absolute supermodel who could pretend to be me in my
Uh,
video.
I'm sure you'll carry it off really well,
Oh,
starring in your own
thank
music video.
thank you.
Also wanted to touch on Dancing in the Rain as well. When you search like Sarah Riches on like, your streaming platforms, that comes up quite high on the searches. Is that a track
Yeah.
which has always been like close to your heart?
I think the reason it comes up so often is because it was my very first release. It was the first thing that I released off my album that I recorded in Nashville, and it was a really scary time because I didn't know whether people would like hearing me sounding country, and I also didn't know if I was going to be accepted by the UK or international country scene as well. By the artists and by the people like the BCMA, the British Country Music Association. Um, so I just wasn't sure what my response was going to be at all. And there was a video that accompanied that song, and it did really, really well. You know, it was my very first release, and it got to number 2 in the iTunes country chart in the UK. And it was
Ah,
like, what? How did I do that? Um, and since then, it's become harder for all independent artists to actually make an impact on the iTunes country charts because all of a sudden country has become cool and everybody's listening to country all the time. And most of the time, they're listening to the established artists, you know, the household names. And so it's very, very hard now for independent artists to get onto the chart in the first place, never mind get into the top
yeah,
10, top 20 or top 5 even. So I've noticed lately, you know, that artists who I really rate, who are independent UK artists, even they're finding it more difficult now to make an impact on the
yeah,
charts. So what we have to do now is just try and get it out there to as many people as we possibly can in as many different ways as we
yeah,
can. And videos is one of them. You know, going out and performing our songs live is another way. You know, getting radio play if we possibly can is another way. So, you know, all we want to do really is to make people's ears happy and to have people perhaps recognise our songs and link them to us and enjoy them. You know, that's what music's about.
yeah.
So
That's
it's
sure,
not
and
all about.
it's understandable, isn't it? You just need that
Yeah,
breakthrough. It does happen from time
yeah,
to time. And you
that's it.
released an album back in 2023 called I Don't Give Up Easily and features 10 tracks. On this one, do you have like a personal track, or are they all your babies, so to speak?
Yeah, I suppose they're all my babies, but I remember that was the album that I recorded in Nashville, and I remember that there were a couple of songs that my producer Fred Mollin really loved, and one of them was called Gently, which was quite a sort of slow, sort of bluesy kind of track. And it's about being mindful of what you say to people because it really makes an impact and can really hurt.
Mhm.
So it's sort of trying to think before you speak, and it's all about being gentle with your words. And then there was the other track which he really, really loved, which was the title track of the album. Actually, it was also called "I Don't Give Up Easily." And that's got a video. I'm inside a beautiful monastery in Manchester, and I've got goodness hundreds of candles around me, and it's sort of a country sort of ballad, really. It's about recognizing you come to a point in a relationship where you can't carry on anymore, but you really want to because you still love the person, but you just know nothing's going to change. So it was very dramatic, that video. It's all very visual, and yeah, it's worth having a look on my YouTube channel just to see if you can count how many candles there are
Ah,
on there.
it's a good effect, having like the candles in the background. I like the
Yeah.
kind of medieval vibe that has. You see it on
I
some music videos.
That's right. I call it, I had a wind machine as well. So I call that one my Celine Dion moment. You know, I'm in this gorgeous dress. I've had my hair and makeup done. I'm in this wonderful surrounding with the wind machine going.
Yeah,
It's probably the
cool.
best I've ever looked in my life there, I think.
Well, we'll check that one out. So look forward to that one. What's the title of that track? The video on that one?
That's called I Don't Give Up Easily.
Oh, right. Okay, brilliant. And what's the rest of the year? I can't believe we're in February already, but looking forward to
Yeah.
2025. Do you have some shows coming up?
Yeah, I've got various shows coming up. As I said, it's more difficult for festivals and venues to book a seven-piece band, so it does prove difficult to get gigs where we're all together. We've got one coming up in March at Deesworth Blues Club, and they're a really well-established blues club, and we're really really lucky to be going there. Looking forward to that one. And again, it will be full of people who love to listen to original music, and they're what we call a listening crowd. So they're not all chatting through it, they're there as though it's a sort of concert, which would be lovely. And it gives us chance to talk about the sort of background of the tracks and introduce the band a bit better as
Yeah,
well. Then we've got another one again at another listening venue. It's in May. It's right by my birthday, actually, and that's in Birmingham. It's the Blue Piano in Edgbaston.
yeah,
Again, a really well established music venue, and we're really, really lucky to go there because they don't generally have country artists there.
yeah,
So very excited about that. We're going to be in the garden there,
yeah,
and yeah, we're hoping that sells really well because it's going to be such a lovely, lovely show. And then we've got another one where we're the full band. More towards the autumn time in Lichfield, which is very close to where I
yeah,
live, and at a beautiful venue which used to be a church. It's called the Hub at St Mary's in Lichfield, and yeah, we've got all the stained glass windows in there, and it's just really gorgeous in there.
yeah,
Lovely atmosphere every time we play there.
yeah. Yeah, Lichfield's a beautiful city in its own right, isn't it? And the people are
Yeah,
generally quite, well, very friendly when I jump on the train over there. So very good.
yeah.
And what do you enjoy about playing the smaller, intimate venues?
Do you know, I love doing the smaller ones as well. So, as I said, I love doing in the round kind of shows like Nashville Sounds in the Round, but even sort of the smaller duo, just me and a guitar, um, shows, they tend to be really, really good as well. Because again, you get a different connection with the audience and you can have a good chat and a good laugh with them and talk to them about your music. And yeah, it's really good. And again, every venue is different. Sometimes people are chatting away and sometimes people are sitting like an audience. Um, I've just remembered another show I've got that's similar to that, where it's just a duo, and that's with a company called Country Music Social Media, and they've got a show on in April, and that is at Gulliver's in Manchester, which is a fab venue, and I'll be there with some other. Country music social media artists as well. So we're looking forward to that
Yeah.
one. Tickets are available for that at the moment.
Uh, I think that's in the Northern Quarter, Gulliver's of
Yeah,
Manchester. Yeah, that's
I
very
think
good.
so. I've not been. I'm really looking forward
Uh,
to it. I think it'd be great.
yeah. And on these dates as well, can people just find out where they are, the postcode and the
Yeah.
calendar date on a website or social media link?
Yeah, so generally I advertise them on my Facebook page. That's my most common place of putting gigs on, or Instagram as well. And also the Country Music Social Media, the company I mentioned, they also advertise where we're all doing gigs as well. So.
That's amazing. And any other musical performers on your list that you may like to open a show or share a stage with?
Oh, do you know, there's so many. I'd love to
Mm,
just open for. I've got a lot of people who are really right in the UK country scene at the moment. Really just enjoy going to listen to them. Whether I'm performing or not, I just go
yeah.
along and fangirl for them. But obviously the other stars as well, anybody who would like to have me, really.
Yeah. Oh, that's very good. And I like to finish an interview on like a light-hearted note. I've got a multi. It's a game where I ask you a question and there's like three multiple choices.
Oh, good.
So
I'm glad it's multiple choice. I do better on them.
so I thought I'd give you three choices rather than two, but there's just a couple
Right.
just for a bit of fun. So the first one, out of the following three, would you choose marmalade or jam or Marmite? You can pass as well.
Oh, I'm a Marmite lover. I love Marmite.
Oh, that's good to hear. Not many people I know like Marmite, but that's good. Then the next one was cheese and onion crisps, salt and vinegar crisps, or ready salted
Oh, it's got to be salt and vinegar.
salt and vinegar. And then the next one was a sporty question. Would you like to have a game of bowling, mini golf, or table tennis?
Oh, I quite like table tennis. I get a bit competitive with
Yeah,
table tennis, and I like the sound it makes. So,
yeah, ping pong. And
ping pong.
we got New York, London, or Nashville.
Oh, it's
That'll be
got to be
fun.
Nashville.
I thought
Has
so.
to be. I've got such fond memories of Nashville with my recording there. So,
Brilliant. And then 60s music, 70s music, or 80s music.
that's hard. Um, I'd say 80s because I probably
80s.
grew up with that more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good answer. Seems to be making a real resurgence lately, 80s music does,
Yeah.
especially with like the Generation Zers as well. They were the
Yeah.
songs.
I know it's great, isn't it? It's coming back around
Yeah.
again. Mind you, I don't think any era, 60s, 70s, 80s, I love them all really. It
Yeah.
was really hard to choose.
Yeah. Oh, well, thanks very much for your company on today's show. All for me really to do is get your brand new single on my show, and that's We Need to Talk.
That's right, yes.
Great. And we'll get that on the airwaves now. Well, thanks very much for your contribution on today's show. That was Sarah Riches joining me on today's show. Sarah Riches, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dan. It's
Yeah.
been lovely to
Yeah.
talk to you.
Lovely chatting to you and have a great rest of the day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.